Good evening, everyone. We're recording this late night tonight. Usually we do in the afternoon, but changing it up. I don't know when we'll get it posted. But anyway, Jarret, I want to talk about something because this week I got really excited. And the other day, the NHL was talking about bringing back hockey. They made an official announcement. They're going to have 24 teams play in 2 hub cities, skip right to the playoffs. And it got my blood pumping. I was excited. I went on, saw the NBA's talking about going to Disney World. The NFL's talking about stuff, and it's like for a second, I saw something about the MLB owners wanting to take money from the players, still sports news. I even watched the golf thing this week. Sports, it feels like we're moving towards them coming back. And I say, I want it to be back safely. I don't want anyone at risk, but it feels like sports are coming back. And I'm going to set a 5-minute timer, Jarret. I know you don't care about hockey, but what do you think about this NHL thing? I know you've been reading up on it, so I want to hear your thoughts.
I think it's interesting. I think it's a good step for sports as a whole, not just for hockey, because they're finally deciding, hey, we're going to do this. This is going to happen. And also it's interesting how they plan on picking up the season, Sure, playoffs would. I believe the playoffs would have been over right now for hockey. I don't know. I think the Mighty Ducks are an NHL team. But it's interesting that since the season ended mid-season, they never really got to finish. They didn't know who would be in the playoffs necessarily. They kind of give almost every team a chance to make it in and fight their way through it. I think it's good, and I think it'd be really interesting if, the NBA kind of implemented the same thing. It almost feels like everything's going back to normal, slowly.
A little bit, and let's just hope that it all happens safely, like I said, because I know you agree with me on this, is like, yeah, it's nice to have sports back, but if bringing sports back risks anyone's life, I just think it's not worth it.
Right. And I was actually reading, I was doing my research on hockey, and I was reading today that apparently practices are going to go something like this. They'll only let 6 people in at a time, 6 of the players in at the time. No coaches will be allowed in. No staff will be allowed in. So it'll just be the players. Obviously, it's completely voluntary, not mandatory. And if the team takes place in a city that doesn't have widespread testing, then, you kind of, if you think you're sick, it's kind of like, you're working a job. You think you're sick, you quarantine for 14 days, you come back. And I think that's really nice. I think it's also great that they thought about it. In terms of region to region, because I know every state's kind of trying to open back up, but every state's on their own timetable. Same goes for sports. Every team will be on their own timetable.
Another good thing with hockey that I thought of, and I'm no medical expert, but they're wearing masks. They have the face masks already, and it's not like the NBA where they're breathing on each other so much or posting someone up. They're playing physical and they hit each other and stuff, but they're not in such close proximity. They're not, they don't really set screens.
Right. They have the little glass in front of their face. Yeah. And they kind of, yeah. So that is interesting.
You're going to have to become a hockey fan now.
What team should I root for if I become a hockey fan?
Definitely the Caps.
I figured you would say that. I can't root for the Caps. They just won. They won 2 years ago. I can't root for them. You root for the Las Vegas Golden Knights. They're a new cool team. Funny story, before the Caps won the title, I started rooting for them because the Caps lost early every year. So I was still a Caps fan, but I was like, hey, when the Caps get eliminated by the Penguins in the second round, I'll root for the Golden Knights. But then they met each other in the finals, and everybody's like, you're a fake Caps fan, But I honestly love the idea of skipping to the playoffs with the amendment that they did, in the sense where it's 24 teams. I think it's the 8 teams advance and play each other for the top 4 seeds in each conference. And then the other 16 duke it out to try to make it into that round of 16 they each have a 5-game series, I think it is. So I think that's really cool. I think that's the most competitive, coolest sounding playoff we've had in basically any league. And I think other leagues should look into something like that, because think about it. If you had that for another league,
not as many teams would try to tank, because if you're the 24th best team in a league of 30, 32 teams, you're going to want to probably compete for the playoffs because you never know what can happen.
You still have that shot.
I like it. We got about 45 seconds to go. But I think it would be really cool for hockey and from a competitive standpoint and from what we're talking about, who goes deep, I think we see a Caps Golden Knights rematch in the finals. I know you probably have no idea.
I think we see the Bruins and the Penguins. I just threw two names out there two teams that I know.
The same conference.
I tried.
Maybe in the Stanley Cup Finals. Who knows? We got about 10 seconds to go on this hockey time. Man, usually we go over with these subjects, but I guess when it comes to hockey,
When it comes to sports, we don't know anything about.
Yeah. Alex Ovechkin had his second baby, though. I think that'll give him motivation to win it for his family. Anyway, moving on now to the NBA. They're talking about going to Disney World, and I heard something really cool today is that they want them to have their families with them in Disney World. And I think if they can get everybody to quarantine, they have the testing that doesn't take away testing from people in society to get everyone in Disney World for that to work, or Orlando, wherever they end up doing it, I think it'd be cool. And I think it'd be great to have the NBA back. And I think LeBron will use this to get another title, and people will always say that, it's not, shouldn't count. But anyway,
quarantine season. Yeah. Like flu game, it'd be quarantine season.
You mean flu game? You mean the
poison? Like the Jordan flu? Oh, food poisoning, food poisoning game, right? I think it's really interesting that Disney World's the place that everyone's gonna go, but I feel like if a league was to come back, it would have to be in the state of Florida. I'm glad that the NBA is coming back, or at least talking about it. I'm really interested in seeing what they do, because it wasn't quite playoff time when the season ended, but it was getting close, and we pretty much knew who was going to be in the playoffs and who wasn't. And I don't know the standings off the top of my head. It's been so long, so I couldn't tell you how close the 7th and 8th seeds were.
Wizards are a 9 seed, about 5.5 games back.
5.5 games back from 8?
Yeah.
And I don't know about the Western Conference, but the West is always pretty close.
I think the West is kind of close.
Yeah, West is always pretty close. It's interesting to me. I don't know how they would do that. Now, I don't think the rest of the season should be played out in one mass kind of stream of games and then play in the playoffs. However, what I do think, because I know this has been a topic for a long time, but, travel's been the issue, where you have the top 16 teams in the NBA in general, not just the top 8 from the East and West. I think that would be something interesting to implement this season, just because everyone's playing in one place. I don't remember the standings, but, I feel like the standings are too close for you to just throw everybody in the playoffs anyway. Yeah. So why not take the top teams, the best teams, and have them all just play for the finals? I think that'd be very.
So you're not just saying skip the regular season. You're saying skip half the playoffs?
Not half the playoffs. So the playoffs is 8 teams on the East, 8 teams on the West. So instead of having Eastern Western Conference, if everyone's going to be in Orlando at Disney World, why not just take the top 16 teams of the NBA and have them play for the playoffs? Yeah, I mean.
I think the Trailblazers are like 2 or 3 games back of the Grizzlies. What about them? I don't know exactly what it is.
They're both in the West, but I mean, like I said, I don't think that really matters. Maybe the East won't be able to compete. Maybe you won't see a lot of teams from the East.
16 best overall teams and
best overall in the NBA. The bottom 14, give them their lottery picks.
I think that's what the NBA wanted to do for a while.
Yeah, they've been talking about it for a long time.
I agree that they should move towards that. But I just think that those teams that are kind of there, like towards the top of the West, should have a chance, I think maybe like the Warriors might, and maybe the Bulls or whoever, like there's not many teams that are eliminated, but there's a lot of teams where, like they're not making the playoffs. I feel like it's tough. I feel like you got to have like maybe like 8 teams like that compete for the last like 4 spots, you know.
So you think that they should do it kind of like hockey?
Yeah, I like what hockey did. I think it's a good idea because I feel like you can't just discount those teams that are just on the brink of the Western Conference. Like whatever the top, what was it? So for like 20 teams, so whatever the top 20 teams. So if the Wizards fall into that, they fall into that because they're 9th in the East. But like it'll probably be like 3 West teams. Maybe the Wizards is that 4th on the out. So like I think I don't know exactly how the records pan out, but I think you take those teams, you play maybe 3-game series, maybe even 1 game because of the situation. I don't know.
Elimination.
It could be interesting, like baseball does, you know. So and play. We got about 15 seconds, but we play those and then have the 4 teams advance, and then you play the 16-game or 16-team series and tournament, whatever the wording is, and then he comes out of that and LeBron gets his title, unless the Bucks win. We'll get to that a little bit later. But we move on now to our guest, and we're gonna let her in here, and I think people are gonna enjoy our guest today. Hopefully she's ready to come on. Another former WHSVer, and we'll see if she can get her sound on. There she is.
Hey.
Kenzie coming up now. Fun fact for the 3 of us, we all used to work together at WHSV on the weekends. Kenzie was weather. I'm still sports there, and Jarret worked behind the scenes, and this is kind of like a reunion special that the people have been waiting on. How are you feeling to be on, Kenzie?
Oh my gosh, the nerves are coming back to me, Alex.
Does it feel good to finally have a camera in your face once again, talking to the people?
I'm feeling pretty rusty, Jarret. I don't know about this.
Yeah, I agree. You seem a little rusty, but it's fine. I've never been in front of the camera. You're fine.
Don't make me nervous.
Well, Kenzie used to come on to our audio podcast that we did, and Jarret and I would talk a lot about all kinds of sports like we do now. Subject that Mackenzie, isn't super well versed in, but knows her stuff. And a fun exercise we would have is we'd go through, I think we'd name 2 quarterbacks, pull them up on Google Images, and Mackenzie would tell us which one was more attractive.
It's a little harder this way because I actually had to do my own research a little bit. You guys weren't there just like showing me pictures, easy for me to pluck the cute ones. Had to figure it out on my own.
So I know we texted Mackenzie a bunch of NBA players earlier. I have no idea what the criteria, what the method for this is, but Jarret maybe has a better idea of me than I do. So take it away and whatever.
I don't know what the criteria was. I just had a hunch. I feel like I know Kenzie's type. So I just threw some names at her. She threw a name at me. We kept throwing names back at her, and she came up with her own list. I don't know who's on this list. I couldn't tell you.
Well, you just sent me text Mackenzie 5 NBA players. So I tried to pick the most random ones I could think of. I picked Giannis. I said Alex Caruso because I thought that'd be a good one. I don't even know who else I texted. Steph Curry.
I don't want to be mean. I don't want to say anybody is not attractive per se, but Alex, you did not do a great job.
See, I feel like I did a pretty decent job, but I picked a lot of young guys,
You did do a good job.
I have Bradley Beal on my list.
He's kind of young. I didn't want to pick the LeBrons, even Steph Curry because he's kind of old. Who else is old? There's a lot of old guys. Dwight Howard or somebody. I didn't want to pick old 35-year-olds.
So, Kenzie,
I picked a lot of 20-year-olds.
What's your list? I don't even know how you want to hash this out here. But
I'm terrified to even know what this list is.
Look,
the criteria is and tell the top 5.
I don't know the criteria. Like, I just know attractive when I see it. And I saw a little bit of it. Some of them needed some improvement. My thing is, like, you're all rich. I feel like if you have enough money, like, there's no excuse for you to not be super attractive. But some of them
I think they care more about their basketball skills rather than how they look on the court.
Are you saying they should get plastic surgery?
No, I just I don't know what it is. I think, you have money for the expensive haircut or mainly the haircut, I guess. I don't know. The clothes, maybe the swag when you're rich.
I feel like they all just wear basketball jerseys and arm sleeves. And they're giving that for free.
You guys clearly have a lot to learn. I have not memorized the names, so I have to go into my Google searches.
All right, go ahead. Give us your top 5.
Okay, so number 5, he should be honored that he's even on this list. Unfortunately, he is number 5, which is the lowest. Devin Booker. He's pretty good looking.
He's good.
However, something's wrong with his eyes. Like, they look black. He kind of looks a little scary in some of his pictures. They look like black holes. But other than that, looks good. And I assume that they're all tall because they play basketball, and obviously I'm very tall, so that's important to me. So Devin Booker, like, congrats. Good job. Who else? So, okay. Coming in at a solid number 4 is Zach LaVine. I feel that he needs to work on his facial expressions. He looks a little bit dazed and confused at times, but the ingredients are there. Definitely a good-looking guy for sure. So congrats to him as well. Number 3. Oh, honestly, I forgot about Tristan Thompson. He's a little bit on the more elderly end of what I would consider attractive.
Did he date a Kardashian, or am I confused?
He's still dating a Kardashian.
Which one?
Chloe.
Okay.
I feel like this is why he gets so much love. He's on the Kardashians. People know who he is.
He's attractive, though. He is. I mean, his personality obviously isn't, because he did some not so very nice things to Khloe Kardashian. However, good looking.
Back.
So he's number 3?
Yes, mainly because I forgot about him. He might have been 4 possibly, but Zach LaVine was 4. Him and Tristan Thompson, we'll say, are pretty neck and neck. Now here, top 2, this is where we get serious.
Serious, okay.
Ja Morant is coming in at number 2.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. He's pretty. I don't know what's shocking about that. If you guys have ever seen him, I don't think you'd be too shocked. Good looking.
I guess he's a handsome dude.
He's going to be the best point guard in the NBA too in a few years.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, Alex. I have no idea what a point guard is. But I like the color of the uniform. He's got a lot going for him, I have to say. And then coming in at number 1, really didn't have very much competition. I mean, this guy is just fine as can be. Kelly, oh gosh, I already forget how to say the last name. Kelly Oubre.
You got it. You said it right.
Oubre.
Washington Wizard.
He is fantastic. Let me tell you. Lots of things I like about that guy. Super great.
Oh my goodness.
So, Jarrett, I'll let you go first with your question.
So clearly, you don't care. The skill doesn't make the guy any more attractive at all.
Kelly Oubre is number 1.
I could not tell you if any of them are talented or not. I have absolutely no idea. I don't even think I've heard of any of them, except for Tristan Thompson because of the Kardashians. I don't think I knew who any of those people were before right now.
See, I feel like I have a man crush on Giannis Antetokounmpo, but that's because he's one of the best players in the NBA right now. You know.
Is he the one with the unibrow?
No, that's Anthony Davis.
My bad.
Giannis is he's from Greece, so he's foreign. He's 6. He's practically 7 feet tall.
2 brothers, and their names are like Thanasis and something else. I forgot the other.
I don't know. They have the coolest names of brothers that I've ever heard.
Yeah.
That sounds a lot. That sounds just like a little too much for me. How tall is my man crush Kelly?
Probably like 7, if I had to guess.
6,
How tall?
maybe.
Wow, he just gets better and better. I really Phone background on my way.
All of these guys are in the NBA. They're all like 6'2" and up. They're all giants.
That's really fantastic.
Look up one more. Nate Robinson. Tell me what
Nate Robinson. Let me hit a quick Google here.
Oh, man.
Nate Robinson. If this is a setup, Alex.
It's not a setup.
I'm just curious.
I'm not one to be mean, so when you have nothing nice to say, you just don't say anything.
How tall he is?
How tall?
I think he's 5'6". Is it 5'6"?
Alex.
9 or he's 5'8". I think
5'8".
he's 5'8".
Okay, 5'8".
Yeah.
No.
That was a setup. I could see the top of his head if I were to see him ever.
We got about 20 seconds till we're going to transition into our next subject, which Jarrett and I will rank the top 5 NBA players right now. And Mackenzie, you can pick which list is better or whatever. But
I wouldn't know.
Stay on.
But I do know it's about to get a lot less exciting.
But before we do our list real quick, and we're going to start the timer for that one now real quick. Kenzie, how are you doing without sports?
I honestly, my life has been more peaceful than ever. Haven't noticed much of a difference, except for I'm not hearing men complaining about sports all the time. Haven't had to hear about anything at all. So it has been fantastic, Alex. Thank you.
All right. And with that, that's a great answer there. Jarrett, how do we do this? Are you doing top 5 or we go 5 and 5, or how do you want to do it?
Let's see. I'll give you my top 5 because I feel like they're going to be pretty similar. Okay. I'll give you my top 5. You can give me yours since you said yours are undisputable.
Indisputable, undisputed, whatever the word is, that's what it is.
Okay.
I'm going to peace because I have nothing to add to this conversation.
All right.
Bye, Kenzie. Thank you for being a great guest.
You're welcome for my insight.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Jarrett, let's hear it.
All right. I'm going to give you my 5, and then you can give me your 5. Starting with number 5, Kawhi Leonard. 4, Steph Curry.
Okay.
3, James Harden.
Okay.
2, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and 1, LeBron James.
So I'm amazed because my list is almost identical.
Almost identical. Okay.
Almost identical. 5 is Kawhi.
Mm-hmm.
4 is Steph. 3 is not James Harden. I don't even think James Harden is in my top 5, top 6, top 7. I put him 8th best player in the NBA.
Okay.
3, this is not taking into account health. I put Kevin Durant.
Okay.
Because I mean, you got to realize, I think Kevin Durant, people don't realize he's one of the best of all time. Maybe not in accomplishments, but in his actual skills and ability to play the game of basketball. And I think he's, when healthy, 3rd best player in the NBA right now. If he was fully healthy.
See, I thought we were doing health involved in everything. Active players. See, he would have been in my top 5.
Okay. Sorry. I didn't know. But I put it – okay. So if you take out KD, bump him down, I would put Steph – if KD doesn't count, Steph is 3, Kawhi's 4, Jokic is 5.
Nikola Jokic.
If KD can't be in it. But anyway. From there, I go Giannis at 2, and I thought about Giannis at 1, but here's the thing. LeBron's the king right now, and until Giannis gets to the finals and takes down LeBron or whoever his competition is in the West, I think he is still number 2. I mean, maybe he doesn't even need to do that to get there, but I think once LeBron regresses a little more, but I just think – you can't take that title of best player in the NBA away from LeBron just yet.
I don't think Giannis needs to beat LeBron in the playoffs to be number 1. No.
He doesn't have to, but if he does, he automatically becomes number 1.
I think if Giannis develops a jump shot, if he's taking this time in quarantine to put up 1,000 threes each day.
I don't know. I heard he doesn't even have a basketball.
If he comes back and he's a laser from 3, I think that he's the best player in the league. if he develops a consistent jump shot. That's the only thing that's keeping him back. Now, obviously, LeBron's not the best shooter in the world either, but you got to look at everything LeBron's done. And at 34, and he still dominates the game. It's so hard not to have him at number one right now. Maybe that changes in a year. Maybe. Maybe that changes when the league comes back and this time off for LeBron has been detrimental for his health.
I got to imagine with LeBron, he's like staying in shape. I would be stunned if
I would hope so.
If he doesn't come back with – I think he's coming back with a vengeance. Honestly – I think this is going to be good for LeBron because he's getting this break. He's getting all this time to rest up. He's going to come back. If this season happens, I think they're going to come back. Lakers are going to win the title. I thought Lakers were going to win the title anyway. Think about all the emotions of this year with all this stuff with Kobe. And you have LeBron and AD clicking, playing well. I think they come back, win the title if we get basketball back this year. I think they turn around next year. I think LeBron gets another title, which is insane because he'll be at 5 championships. But I think this is great for LeBron right now, this whole situation.
I agree. I think it's good for him. If he gets back-to-back next year, I don't know about that one. I don't know. But, NBA's been away for a while. NBA, if they come back, they'll have their all-season. They'll be away for a while again. Mm-hmm. So there's no way to tell. Right?
Next week, I know we're going to have an interesting top 5, and to tease a little bit of that before we move on today, Jarrett, if you had to pick one player that's in their first 2 or 3 years of the league that is on the brink of being a top 5 player, or maybe not if the brink, anywhere close to it, who would you pick?
2 or 3 years into their career?
Pick one, because don't steal mine.
I'm going to give you one. It'll be Luka Doncic. What he brings to the game already in only 2 years, not even 2 full seasons, is just absurd. It is amazing what this kid is able to do, and I'm excited to see him in his prime playing with the Dallas Mavericks and a healthy Kristaps Porzingis. I think they're going to be the next terror in the West, but we'll see.
And I like what they do there, too, because I feel like Mark Cuban – knows how to put a team together to come. Knows how to put the people in the right places. I think a discussion for another day. I think Mark Cuban's one of the best sports owners in sports. But while we're having this discussion, Ja Morant. A lot of people talk about Zion and how good Zion is, and I like Zion. I think Zion's going to have a good career. But I think Ja Morant is going to have an even better career. I think Ja is going to be, as I said earlier in the show, the best point guard in the NBA in a few years. You talk about what Luka does. Just watching Ja, it's just incredible. He's the only reason. Well, I shouldn't say. They got some other pieces, but the Grizzlies. He is the reason the Grizzlies are the 8th place team in the Western Conference right now.
Agreed. Yeah.
So I say Ja, but we'll talk more about Ja and Luka and other players that are on the verge of reaching superstardom next week. But for now, that's all we have for today. Jarrett, your final word.
Wear a mask. And if you cough, stay at home.
Yeah, everything's opening back up in a lot of places. And that's good, I think. But just remember, everybody, still be safe, even with things opening up. Because we want this virus to go away, and most importantly,
we want sports to come back.
Not most importantly, but very importantly, we want sports. Most importantly, we want everybody to be safe and healthy. But anyway, that's all we got for you guys today. Have a good one.